original idea, because our strategy at the time was we were moving from being a brand fortress to a fortress of brands. So we wanted to acquire and bring in top-notch brands that had hopefully good awareness and high value. So if you look at the GHB acquisition, 2000 Flushes, when we acquired it, was the #1 toilet bowl cleaner, ATBC. It was the only one that had a claim for 90 days. It was premium priced, so that fit the strategy. We had Carpet Fresh, which had the powders, which were more of a commodity thing, but they had just invented the Carpet Fresh Novak and gone from 0 to over $20 million in 2 or 3 years, so there was a premium priced item. And then there was X14, which had the MSR, mildew stain remover, premium price, but it also had the schizophrenic brand thing of some lower priced ATBCs and things like that. So it fit into our portfolio. Spot Shot came a year later, but those 3 brands were what we did and why we did it. And they all had pretty high gross margins and pricing at the time.
So we bought revenue, we bought profitability to invest in growth elsewhere, in products that we thought we knew how to sell and the channels that they were in. We got technology in terms of people and expertise. So you didn't expect it to decline over time, did you?
No. One of the things that we brought that Gary talked about is we brought in the ability to do innovation. Because before that, WD-40 almost prided itself on no innovation. A new size WD-40 can was significant innovation before GHB. But we brought Ernie in, and we brought in the ability to innovate with the marketing team. And with that, they already had on deck some of the innovations that we launched and we're looking at. So we thought innovation being another avenue for growth that we could get out of this. And I think long-term that bet's paid off rather handsomely for WD-40.
And I think the big learning moment was, it wasn't that the products declined, it's we didn't have the financial resources to put the innovation effort behind it to have them grow.
Something we learned after the fact.
Yes.
Yes.
And what happened was the grocery trade channel became extremely expensive to operate in. You know, to get one SKU on the shelf, you'd have listing fees of $2 million.
Yeah.
And this is something that didn't align with our business model. So as we started to build out the global infrastructure, we said, we've only got one bet we can place here. Do we place the bet on continuing now to grow our core business globally, which we had identified big opportunities in, or, and this was an either or, it wasn't a both and, or do we continue to pour money into to sustain the growth of these other brands? And we made a very conscious decision.
And that was about 2011, 2012.
The learning started probably before that,
Before
but I think
that,
it finally got formalized and put in. Because what we learned,
the
transition came out in 2012,
right.
as far as we're just going to harvest. We're going to give ourselves permission not to overinvest, which I believe we were doing, and trying to stabilize and or grow some of those brand sales. But I think the things that we learned about was we learned where we wanted to play and where we didn't want to play. And that's had a big impact now. And the other thing that we learned that Gary's talking about is we're used to being the big fish in a small pond. We were a small fish in a very big pond, and we're going up against S.C. Johnson and P&G and everybody else, and they could spend $15, $20 million a year on a category, bring 5 innovations in, and we couldn't compete.
That's where we are today, and yet we still have them because they're still generating profits?
$8 million in the
$8 to $9 million a year. They're actually paying for all of our current innovation.
With no strategic investment.
With no strategic investment.
Just harvesting. The teams have been brilliant about doing that the last 4 or 5 years.
And we looked at selling them.
Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. We don't need the cash because we've got plenty of that.
And we have the ongoing profit.
And we have the ongoing profit without it sucking our resources and assets that we were deploying against where the true growth is.
So what did we learn about that acquisition that is informing our decisions for acquisitions going forward?
Understand your circle of competence. It doesn't matter how big or small it is, you just got to know where the parameter is.
And so because of that GHB acquisition and learning that, have we said no to other?
Many. Armor All was one. Yeah. Armor All STP was one. But also many. We would look at.
We get offers over the transom all the time for cleaners and this and that, and it's just like, you know what? We've learned where we want to play and where we don't want to play. We know what trade channels we're really good in. Grocery was a tough one. When we did the GHB acquisition, our grocery trade channel before was about 5% of total sales. It mushroomed up to 40. It's the one trade channel we're not very good at. We did bring in the brokers and the salespeople from GHB to help us manage that because we knew we weren't very good at that. And but the big lesson also for me and for us, I think, was we were in categories at the time, and then over time those categories decline, they get merged with other categories, and all of a sudden, instead of being the lead dog in one category, you get merged into the air care category, and now you're a small player in a much bigger one, and you just don't want to do that. So that's that.
Great
You know,
lessons.
you could, and here's the other lesson that truly came in, and we knew this, but we really know it better now. You can buy market share with time, and you can buy market share with money. And when you're in a category of super fast moving consumer goods, you don't have a lot of time, and you need a lot of money. The rewards are high, but they're risky. In our products, we can use a very nice balance between time and money. Nobody invests more in the categories that we're in than we do, but we don't have to invest in above ourselves.
So is that the concept of pulse speed that we've heard about?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, describe pulse speed for a tribe.
If you're a sailor and you're on a sailing boat, you can tune the boat to where the hull and the sails are giving you the maximum speed. If you put a lot more wind in the sail, you won't necessarily go any faster, you'll probably blow the sail out. So it's that mixture of both that is important to us.
The hull, you can only go so fast, and you can put a rocket engine on the back end of that hull, and it's still only going to go so fast.
So in our markets, in our chosen channels, and for the nature and the dynamics of our business, would you say money is the wind in that analogy? That you can put more money into it, but the boat won't go any faster?
Or you don't put your boat in a race that needs more. You know, and that's really what it comes down to. Example, if you launch a product in a fast-moving consumer product in the grocery trade channel, you've got about 8 weeks to keep your spot on the shelf. And the only way you can keep your spot on the shelf is to have a high investment in communication and marketing to pull it off. We don't have that issue in the channels that we're in. So it means you've got to have continual innovation, you've got to be continually investing, and if you don't have a large portfolio of product where you have 50% or more that are actually winning, and that's a big number anyhow, you can't afford it.
So it sounds like GHB was an experiment, and it succeeded on many fronts. It gave us the capital we needed to grow internationally.
the other trade
Not
partners.
capital. It gave us the P&L to grow internationally. We don't need capital.
What was the difference between that then? What do
Well-
you mean by P&L?
Every expense that we have to grow our business is a P&L expense. Shoe leather, resources. We have plenty of capital. So if we were a business that was dependent on capital, i.e. go build a factory, make stuff, or invest in this to do that, that's fine. But everything that we spend every day comes off the P&L.
So by P&L then, that generated the profit that then, I guess that's what I meant.
Yeah.
So the profit then allowed us to grow internationally and in other areas. We got talent out of it, we got expertise, we got
Learning.
A lot of
learning,
learning.
A lot of learning.
which probably saved us in a future acquisition that you turned down.
Right.
And we learned another lesson. We acquired a factory with that acquisition, and there was a certain amount of private label business, about $1.5 million, and very quickly we said, we don't want to be part of that. And so we got out of the private label business, just walked away from it, gave it to VML, and eventually we were able to get rid of the factory. So we've learned about, we want to stay asset light as a business and not get bogged down with a lot of manufacturing facilities
Got it.
and everything that goes with that.
Well, I'm sure that this information is going to be useful to people who scratch their heads in wonder and don't get a chance to talk to you two or anyone else about what was the rationale. So thank you both for taking the time, and thank the tribe for tuning in.
Thank you.